That's right, Ben. I'm you. Only even more awesome.
Every time Ben Tennyson turns into an alien, he dies. His bones shatter and reform into a skeleton that was never human. For a few seconds, Ben Tennyson simply stops existing, and something else wears his shape instead. A pyronite, a tetramand, a kinoceleran. Then the timer runs out. That alien dies too, and Ben gets rebuilt back into himself one more time, whether he's ready for it or not. Now picture the version of Ben who's lived through that cycle for 10 straight years. Older, staring at the Omnitrix not like a hero looking at a weapon, but like an engineer staring at a machine that's already obsolete. Because that Ben stopped asking, which alien do I need to become to win this fight? Why do I need to become anything else at all? That question is what actually broke the Omnitrix's original design. Not a villain, not a malfunction. Ben looked at the device that had been killing him to keep him alive his whole life, and instead of upgrading it, he rebuilt it from the DNA up. Because Ben's greatest breakthrough wasn't becoming stronger, it was figuring out how to separate alien power from alien biology. The biggest change wasn't inside Ben, it was inside the Omnitrix itself. The original Omnitrix completely replaces Ben's DNA with an alien's, rebuilding his entire body from the ground up. Ben 10,000 realized that wasn't necessary, so he physically modified the Omnitrix by installing a secondary quantum bioprocessor beneath its transformation core. That new processor intercepts every transformation before it begins, splitting an alien's DNA into 2 instruction sets, one for the alien's anatomy and one for its powers. Then it deletes the anatomical instructions entirely. No new skeleton, no replacement organs, no full body transformation. Only the genes responsible for the alien's abilities are allowed to activate. Instead of rebuilding Ben into another species, the Omnitrix temporarily rewrites only the parts of his biology needed to use that alien's powers, while keeping the rest of his body completely human. The transformation engine is bypassed. Only the power engine runs. Ben didn't remove the Omnitrix's ability to transform. He simply rewired it to separate an alien's body from an alien's powers. Once that was possible, Ben had to solve 4 more problems. First, genomic deconstruction. Ben realized something Azimuth's original design never prioritized. He didn't actually need the whole alien. He only needed the parts that made the alien powerful. So instead of downloading an entire species template, the recalibrated Omnitrix began dissecting alien DNA into isolated functional architectures. Not become XLR8, extract, neuromuscular acceleration. This changes everything. Because the Omnitrix stopped treating alien DNA like complete organisms and started treating it like modular code, biological software. Ben effectively turned entire species into programmable ability sets. The old Omnitrix asked, what species should Ben become? The new Omnitrix asks, what specific biological function do I need right now? That is a fundamentally more terrifying question. Because once alien biology becomes modular, it stops being identity and starts becoming software optimization.
How do you do all that without transforming?
Second, morphological pathway suppression. This may be Ben 10,000's single most important recalibration. The original Omnitrix doesn't just activate alien powers, it triggers full phenotypic restructuring, the complete anatomical rewrite of Ben's body into another species. That means skeletal expansion, organ replacement, muscle redistribution, neurological reconfiguration. Ben's recalibrated Omnitrix appears to have solved this by doing something revolutionary. It selectively locked out the transformation pathways. In other words, It suppresses the genes responsible for full-body species conversion, while preserving and activating only the isolated power expression pathways. This is the difference between become the alien and run the alien's abilities. Ben essentially firewall-blocked total morphological transformation. No extra limbs, no full skeletal rewrite, no species-level body replacement. He cut out the physical conversion protocols entirely. The Omnitrix no longer asks Ben's body to become another organism. It asks his existing organism to execute foreign biological functions. This is why Ben stays human. He isn't transforming badly. He isn't partially transforming. He has deliberately disabled the transformation itself. That may be the greatest engineering leap in the device's history. Funny enough, this isn't even a new idea. Let me take you down memory lane for a second. Back in 2005, before Ben ever became an alien, the pitch wasn't aliens at all. The original concept had Ben swapping places with alternate dimension versions of himself. Not a new species, just a different version of the same person. It got scrapped for being too strange, simplified into aliens, so a 10-year-old audience could follow it. 20 years later, Ben 10,000 quietly rebuilds that exact idea. Not a new species wearing Ben's face, just Ben running someone else's traits. The show didn't invent this ending. It just took 2 decades to circle back to its own rough draft. Whether they made the right decision or not is up for debate, but we can all agree that Ben turned out all right. Third, epigenetic overlay. Once Ben isolated the useful traits and blocked full transformation, the Omnitrix no longer replaced his genome. It temporarily overlaid alien genetic instructions onto his existing human biology. Think of human DNA like an operating system. Ben's recalibrated Omnitrix doesn't delete it. It force installs temporary executable programs on top of it, using hyper-advanced gene activation, similar in principle to CRISPR, synthetic RNA triggers, and nanoscale transcription regulators. The device selectively activates alien traits only where needed. Need XLR8 speed. His legs remain human in shape, but no longer function according to human biological limitations. They are human hardware, running alien subroutines. Ben remains anatomically human, but functionally becomes a living patchwork of alien biological upgrades. He doesn't transform, he selectively forces his body to perform the impossible. But this creates a fourth, and even bigger, problem. Some powers cannot biologically exist in human tissue at all. A human body cannot naturally generate plasma, so Ben needed one final breakthrough: synthetic organ support. This may be the recalibrated Omnitrix's most godlike innovation. For powers human anatomy physically cannot sustain, the Omnitrix constructs temporary synthetic biological machinery inside Ben's body. Microscopic organelles, nanotech-assisted reactors, subcellular biofactories, entire new functional systems, built only when needed. When Ben channels heat blast, he doesn't become a pyronite. The Omnitrix generates millions of temporary plasma containment organelles throughout his tissues, microscopic reactors that produce and channel thermal energy while shielding his actual cells from incineration. This is no longer transformation. This is biological infrastructure deployment. Ben isn't shape-shifting. He's dynamically installing alien hardware into human biology. That is the true genius of Ben 10,000. He transformed the Omnitrix from a species replacement device into a real-time biological programming engine. Old Ben became aliens. Future Ben turned aliens into downloadable powers. And that may be one of the most profound technological leaps in the franchise. But power is only half the equation, because aliens don't just come with abilities, they come with instincts. Classic Ben didn't just gain power, he risked psychological override. Ben 10,000 solved that too. By staying human, his recalibrated Omnitrix likely uses a neural translation interface, an advanced brain-computer system, to filter alien function through Ben's own consciousness. He doesn't become clockwork. He accesses chronokinesis without surrendering to non-human temporal cognition. And then comes the cost. Energy. The original Omnitrix burns enormous power up front for transformation. Ben 10,000's Omnitrix saves that initial cost, but burns exponentially more power every second afterward, because now it's constantly running live genetic editing. Every second his powers are active, Ben's body is running alien software on human hardware, and without safeguards, he dies. So the Omnitrix evolves one final time. Genetic shielding protects permanent DNA. Immune suppression prevents biological self-destruction. Metabolic redistribution sustains impossible energy requirements. And perhaps most importantly, he moves the Omnitrix from wrist to chest, over the heart. That isn't cosmetic, that's strategic. From the chest, the Omnitrix gains direct access to bloodstream deployment, spinal integration, oxygen processing, whole-body nanotechnological distribution. It stops being a watch and becomes a biological command core, a wearable synthetic evolution engine. Every activation turns Ben's body into a transhuman ecosystem. The Omnitrix was built for empathy, to let one species understand another by literally becoming them. It was diplomacy through biology. Ben 10,000 stripped that away. He doesn't become aliens to understand them. He extracts their useful parts. He optimized the Omnitrix into synthetic perfection. But in doing so, he may have removed the one thing that kept it morally grounded, the forced reminder that every alien was a person, not a power source. The original Omnitrix asked Ben to walk in someone else's biology. The recalibrated Omnitrix asks only one thing: what can this species do for me? And that is why Ben 10,000 may be one of the most philosophically terrifying evolutions in science fiction. He converted his body into a platform capable of weaponizing the biological advantages of an entire universe without ever surrendering his own identity again. And if Ben could completely rebuild the Omnitrix from the inside out, imagine what someone like him could do to everything else he owns. Take the rust bucket as an example. On the surface, it's just an old beat-up RV. Exactly how that rusted van manages to survive battles, outrun alien spacecraft, and hide technology that shouldn't even exist on this planet is a scientific rabbit hole all on its own. But of course, that's a topic for an entirely different video.